What is up, everybody? What's going on?
Hey everyone, we're glad you're here.
Oh, Raul is here. Awesome.
Yes.
Dizzy, Amanda, MJ.
Joe.
Joe's here too. Oh, awesome.
Yep.
This is great. Well, I'm glad Joe is here, folks. Joe Jackalone, uh, who introduced us to our second creators who crush, and it's pretty cool because I still have the Long Island background. Of course, we had Raul on, and now we have additional creators who crush who happen to be from Long Island, and we're pretty excited about it. What do you think, babe? What are you thinking?
Oh, I'm so excited because this actually is a little bit different than, Crime Con in the way that they also include fiction crime writers. And I am very big on reading thrillers and crime novels and mysteries. So I think a lot of people in the chat already know that about me. So I'm very stoked.
Yeah, and basically Joe kind of reached out to us and was like, "Would you guys be interested in doing this, going there?" And I'm like, yeah, duh, that would be awesome." You guys know we're from Long Island. This is about an hour and a half from us in Bohemia, in the Hamptons. Now, the Hamptons Who Done It is an annual mystery and crime festival that takes place in East Hampton Village. It was founded in 2023, so this is the second year, folks, to create exciting and affordable off-season programming for the East Hampton community. The festival gathers celebrated mystery and thriller authors and true crime experts who participate in panels and social events with audience members. Now, I have in the chat the link for hamptonswhodunit.org. And guys, the people that are going to be there, it's legit, folks. We got Alafair Burke, AJ Finn, and this is just some of the people that announced. There's going to be more. S.A. Cosby, Ashley Flowers, Brad Thor, Ruth Ware. Like, this is going to be legit, folks. So we are super pumped to have on Carrie Doyle and Louise Taylor, the founders and directors of the event. So without further ado, hey, Carrie. Hey, Louise. How you guys
Hi.
doing?
Great. Thanks for having us on, Jay and Shannon.
Thanks so
Thank
much for
you.
coming on. You're
Done.
welcome. Thanks so much for coming on with us. Before we get into the festival, if you guys give the folks a little background on yourselves and let them know about yourself. Carrie, if you want to go first, and then Louise.
Sure. I started as a magazine editor who moved into the film world and as a screenwriter, and then I did fiction books. And as of now, I've published 14 books. Most of them are mysteries. I started and sold my own publishing company to Source Books and with two co-founders. And so now I'm also an elected official in East Hampton Village. Last year, I was elected a trustee. And one of my campaign promises was to do some more off-season programming in East Hampton. And someone asked me, well, what would you do? And I sort of threw out, I'll start a mystery festival. And when I won, the mayor said, I really like that idea. We would love to have a mystery and crime festival. So the rest is history. Here we are.
That's awesome. Go ahead, Louise. Tell the folks about yourself.
Well, I went to school for criminal justice. I got my master's in criminal justice and then went down to work in DC for the National Sheriff's Association. I then moved back to New York and worked in the security field with canine detection, and now I work for Suffolk County Probation. I do a program that works with individuals coming from state prison and sets them up with reentry services and helps them out when they're released. And I got pulled into this because Carrie and I have been friends for years. She knows my passion for this field and invited me in to help out.
Awesome. Well, this is about creators who crush. So let's talk about creating this festival. What does that entail? What is that like to create something like this? I can't even imagine. You have all these amazing folks going to be there. Like, how did you do it? How did you start?
It takes a lot of, you have to be really naive and optimistic and sort of just go into it thinking you can do it. So I always personally am more of a big picture in my writing. When I write, I have to create the whole world in my mind first, like every little pocket and know what everybody's doing. So when it came to this festival, I wanted to have multiple things going on and to, appeal to multiple people. So we have fiction. We started our first year and pretty much everybody we invited said yes. So we have two local authors. They live part-time in East Hampton, Dan Mallory, who writes under the name AJ Finn, and Alfair Burke. And I knew them both. And I asked them if they would be our honorary chairs, and they invited people for fiction. Michael Connolly, Anthony Horowitz, Lisa Jewell. We had We had about 41 panels, and everybody said yes. Everybody wanted to come. And then we had a huge true crime. Commissioner Ray Kelly came to the first one. He was interviewed by Steve Croft of 60 Minutes. And so we had the true crime panels and we had the fiction panels. And then additionally, we had, and we will continue to have this going forward, escape rooms put on by our library and cemetery tours by the town crier. People don't know that actually East Hampton Village had witch trials before Salem, 30 years. And so he talks about that. And then we did this great thing. We collaborated with a company called Forensic World, which is run by former police sergeants. And they do crime simulation where you go in and you get a, you put on the hazmat type suit and get the walkie-talkie, and you see the mannequin, the dead body, and you walk through the crime scene and you decide who did it. It's about an hour and a half interactive. And we had crime buses. So we had a lot going on. We worked totally in collaboration with the mayor and the village administration. And our big goal was to have it in the village. It remains in East Hampton Village. We do have other festivals that take place in the village, but they sort of just take place in our village. They don't interact with the community. So for us, it was super important to keep our prices low and act on sponsorship so everybody in our community could be a part of it. And we were really successful. So now we're off to the second one.
Yeah, folks, the tickets are not bad. I mean, it's $55, folks. I mean, for everything that's going on, that's.
If I had not known, if we were not going, and I just saw that I could go to a book signing with all these people in the Hamptons, I would have I would have made him take me already, and had bought a ticket, because it's not at all pricey. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful time because it's not super, super crowded, because it is off season in the Hamptons. So there's not, it's not super crowded, and it'll be wonderful. So
and talk about the tours, babe. I mean, we've kind of done a little tour ourselves. Why don't you talk about that?
Oh my goodness. Well, I love old graves. So I don't know. But I'm from Kansas, so graves can only be so old there. But then when I moved here, my mind was like blown, because the graves are so much older. So whenever we are out to visit Jay's parents, I like to get him to take me on a little stop at the cemeteries so I can check out all the graves. So I will be very interested in the town crier, guiding us through that. I'm usually just out there, like, wiping off the dirt, trying to read all the things.
Yeah, we got like Italian, we got a dinner, and then we just drove right down there, and Shannon was she was very happy, but
so romantic.
But go ahead, babe. I feel like you had another question about setting up the
Well, I was just going to say that one thing that you mentioned, that you're marrying these two genres a little bit, because you're marrying the fiction part, tongue-tied, with the true crime. And so I'm sure that can cause obstacles as far as the true crime world goes. How do you temper that? How do you walk a line between some of this is going to be entertainment, and some of it, we're going to have to engage with a different, je ne sais quoi?
Louise, you want to answer that, or?
Sure. Yeah. I think that it's important also, when we go with the true crime, is that we're not sensationalizing it. We're not, making it this great sort of dramatic dinner theater. It's more about knowledge and, understanding the crimes and keeping these crimes alive, especially if they're cold cases. It's really important to have them still out, in people's minds. So I think definitely, at least on the true crime side, that's kind of where the focus is we want to respect the cases, and we want, with the forensics and things like that, we also want people to learn. There's a huge base now that's very into, the DNA and the CSI and the crime shows and all of that. And I think people really do like to get this, knowledge of that side of it that, most of us generally don't see.
I mean, that's why it's awesome to have people like Joe Jackalone, who every time we have him on the show or see him on shows, it's like you're getting an education that's beyond, like, for $55 just to take a peek into his mind. I mean, he literally wrote the cold case handbook, like to have someone like that there and to speak to folks, I'm sure is invaluable.
Yeah, he's an amazing resource. And actually, one thing we're going to do this year is we are going to have some smaller optional panels called Meet the Experts. Because, you know, a lot of times there's a lot of aspiring writers that come to these for the fiction writers, and they want to know they're writing a police procedural, but they don't know a police officer. And what would the police officer do in this case? Or they don't know the medical examiner, and they don't know, you know, the stages of this. So we want to have smaller panels where people can actually interact with the speaker and ask specific questions related to what they're working on. So I think that'll be really interesting because, you know, our problem last year was we had so many fabulous speakers. We could have had them speak all weekend long on various topics. They have such a breadth of knowledge. So, and I think that the fiction people do learn. I mean, obviously they're getting their cases from the true crimes, but we didn't realize how unique it was when we started out to have both fiction and true crime. We had no idea that it was two alternate worlds, but it seemed to work so far. So keep trying it.
What I want to do is, because while we have this series, like we did with Raul, I want to bring up the website and bring up what we're talking about here, so folks can see what you're creating. By the way, I love the background on the website. So let me pull it up here. There it is. This is what, again, Hamptons Whodunit.org. It's in the chat. It's in both Kick and on YouTube. So check it out, folks. So here we go. So there's the honorary co-chairs. Alifair Burke and AJ Finn. And there's S.A. Cosby, Ashley Flowers, Brad Thor, Ruth Ware. Are there any other folks here that aren't on this website that people should look out for?
Yes, we have not announced our true crime guests. Casey Sherman will be back as our honorary co-chair. And we have a few people we'll be announcing. Barbara Butcher will be coming. Joe Giacalone will be back. Kristen Thorne came last year. She'll be back. And I know I'm forgetting people, but more people will be, we'll be rolling that out in the next couple of weeks.
So is this going to be... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say we also have Gus Garcia Roberts, who wrote Jimmy the King, about the Jimmy Burke story out here too. So
yeah, he was just on Joe's show. We watched it. It was an awesome show where they went over the book. So that's going to be cool to meet him. So this is from last year, right? This was the kickoff cocktail party.
We're doing the same this year too. It'll be a kickoff there as Maidstone Club as well.
So what's that about? What happens there?
So the first, that's a 3-hour cocktail. The first hour is just for VIP sponsors and the talent to mingle. And then we sell tickets for the second 2 hours, and all the talent will be there. The speakers, we call them the talent because, they have various professions, but they'll be there mingling so you can meet them. And, it's a chance to be at a beautiful exclusive club. And, again, it's not exorbitant prices. That's a separate ticket. But it's a nice way to kick off, on a Thursday night, the whole festival.
So it's from Thursday till Sunday?
Yeah, Thursday to Sunday. And we have, we're heavy on fiction panels on Friday. And then, but we do have nonfiction. But then, it sort of flips and we go more nonfiction towards later in the weekend. But you'll have both offerings throughout. And then always the interactive will be throughout it was called Who Killed the Mayor, the Forensic World event. Now we'll have a different name for it, but that'll run all week, all Saturday.
This is so cool. Just looking at it, obviously it's good. We've seen CrimeCon. We've seen, we were kind of, me and Shannon had some, fear of missing out, but it's massive. As you can see in these pictures, this is a much more intimate setting where you can meet all these people. This is pretty awesome, and I love the setting here. I mean, this is really cool. Go ahead, babe. Do you have a question?
It looks like you have beautiful spaces to present in as well. What all spaces are you using, or what all types of spaces?
So the pictures you just showed were at the Thomas and Mary Moran studio. Thomas Moran was a famous painter who had lived in East Hampton, and that's his studio. The Historical Society runs that building. We're going to be using that again. It's smaller, as you said, more intimate and really steeped in history. And then the rest of our panels were at the East Hampton Library, which is a beautiful space as well. And we last year we were at the middle school as well, but we're going to have probably be at our Clinton Academy, which is another historic building. And so we have plenty of beautiful buildings, and it's really nice for people to get a chance to see it because, quite honestly, I've had a house in East Hampton my entire life, and I'd never been in the Clinton Academy or the Thomas Moran Studio. You know, you drive by it a million times, so it's nice to have the opportunity for people to go in. That's another thing is we're really opening up the village. You're getting a chance to go in a lot of places where you will never go, and if we think we're almost positive the spot where we're going to have the Who Killed the Mayor forensic world, and that is someplace that nobody's ever been allowed. Only 13 people have been allowed, so that'll be pretty
Wow.
yeah.
That's really cool. My dad was in the chat and he has informed me that the town crier is a Mets fan, so he's very happy about that. Let me just go back. Go ahead, babe.
I have
Go,
so many
babe.
more
Go,
questions,
go.
So Carrie, I just started reading Death on Windmill Way.
Oh, yeah.
So Carrie writes or has written many mystery books, but I just started her cozy mystery series of the Hamptons murder mysteries. And I am already in love with Antonia. And I just I'm so happy there's more than one book because I'll get to, I hope, fall. I mean, I don't think anything tragic will befall her, but I don't know because there's a curse. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to highlight that about you and tell people in the chat because we do have a lot of mystery readers. So we will
putting her link in the link in CarrieDoyleAuthor.com. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, we'll put her link. And then you had a very popular YA book that just came out. Could you talk about why you, switched from older adult books to YA?
Well, I was actually writing them simultaneously. So I did, it's just a matter of when they got published, when someone bought them. But The Murder Game is my YA book. It has nothing to do with a murder game. But now what they do is Barnes & Noble picks the title. They think what'll sell. And so it goes before a panel. So that's why they picked it. But that actually has been my most successful book. It sold really, really well, which is really nice. And it's supposed to be a trilogy, but I haven't done the other two books. And it takes place at a boarding school. I went to boarding school in Connecticut. So it basically takes place there. And I had started that when I have two boys when they were younger, and there was not really any boy books for them to read that were kind of like a mystery in this genre. It was the book at the Barnes & Noble the woman recommended was I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is very different than the movie, but that was a great read. And so I wanted more books like that. So this is it's a YA book, but it's not risque. Actually, it's a little more wholesome. And the Hamptons Murder Mysteries series, there were 4 of them that I did. And when I was in college, I worked at the Barefoot Contessa, which was a store in East Hampton, Ina Garten store. And so the heroine of that is an innkeeper who has a restaurant kind of like an Ina Garten type who started to, solve some crimes. And then I moved on and did the Trouble in Paradise series, which takes place in a fictional island, but it would be the Dominican Republic, but that's my other one. So yeah, so I'm sort of writing different things all the time. I don't really, have a genre. It's what I get excited about.
That's so cool. I never imagined that you'd just be writing all these different works in progress kind of at one time. That's just so interesting to me. How do you keep straight all the worlds that you have going on?
That's a good question. When I'm in it, I keep them straight. But now, if you ask me, I never remember anything I wrote. So if you read me a passage of the book, and I would probably not know I even wrote it. Some books are so much easier to write too. Like Death on West End Road is my third in the Hamptons. That's my favorite one. And I mean, you have to really read the one before kind of to like it. But that just fell out of me. It just wrote itself. Sometimes that happens and it's really lucky, but other times it can be hard. You're pushing.
I'm just scrolling through and getting the links here so I can share them. Here's the Facebook page that I'm going to share.
If you guys haven't ever tried a cozy mystery, you should try a cozy mystery because especially being in the true crime world, a cozy mystery is nice to unwind to because it's not as, there's not gore and it's not something that you're really not going to be able to sleep at night because, you know, my other book that I was reading right now was the BTK, like the Deborah Ramsland's book about BTK. And then I'm always like, oh, I'm going back to the cozy mystery, which is so much nicer to unwind. It kind of reminds me of like watching Murder, She Wrote when I was young with my grandmother. So try her out, y'all. She
Someone
has
asked if there's audio. Are they available in audiobooks?
Yes.
Yeah, they
I
are.
guess I don't know why I'm answering.
Why are you answering the question, babe?
No, they are. And you know, cozy mysteries, for those that don't know, because I didn't even know what a cozy mystery was till I wrote that book. And they're like, it's a cozy. It's sort of an Agatha Christie. The murder happens off the page. There's no blood or guts or anything like that. It's a cozy mystery. And you know, Agatha Christie's the one they say, you know, that started it all, like Miss Marple. But her son, I think, or her grandson who has her estate was like, there's nothing cozy about these books. They're murder, you know, but they are cozy. They are relaxing, and they all have a world that you go back to. It's the same few characters every book in that world. So in my case, it's an inn and an innkeeper.
So Louise, I'm curious, what's your favorite part of the festival from you know, Thursday to Sunday? What would you recommend? What's your favorite part?
Originally, I really liked the forensic world. I thought the interactive part of it was so exciting. It was really fun to get involved in all aspects of the crime, that you could do the crime scene and then you could do all the evidence and then you could go through the case together. I thought that was incredibly neat. And then I really liked the panels where the authors talk about their expertise, whether it's in the cold cases or the forensics. For me, I just like the learning aspect of it so much. So, you know, with the wealth of, you know, talent that we have coming from so many different areas of this field, it's really neat to be able to listen to their stories and ask them questions and be able to, you know, interact with them in that way.
Awesome. Well, we got Joe Jackalone in the chat, says, ask about the new podcast row section. That's from Joe Jackalone.
Well, we're hoping that you guys will be the first podcast.
Yeah, we're going to be there. We're going to be there, folks. This is the first thing we're going to be at. So everyone's going to be like, who the hell are these people? But we're going to be there. But what's the, like, you can have like a bunch of tables. Like, what's the plan for podcast? Joe's going to be there.
Yeah, we'll have a few. We're working on the location depending on how many. I mean, we're not going to have probably as many as they had at CrimeCon, but you know, this is start. We want to highlight the people, and especially it's great that you guys are Long Island. One of our intentions is not all of our true crime, a large portion of our true crime we want related to Long Island, and so, you know, we're excited to have you and host you, and we're going to open to your ideas, because a lot of it's a learning experience for us most of the time, what goes on at these. Actually, you know, Louise and I had never ever been to a festival until we started this festival, so now we've been to a couple more, but so we're like winging it here, which actually is exciting.
Yeah, well, I mean, how's the Wi-Fi? Because if we could set up like a little booth and have folks come up and like and go live and like just ask folks that are, you know, have little interviews, because that, you know, that happens a lot in CrimeCon. That would be amazing.
Yeah, we are going to have another hotel that'll be our hub this year, and they will have, you know, that's where people get their badges. It's an inn. It won't be opened because they don't open till the summer. So hopefully we'll have that in there. You all set up there, because that'll be where people can come and have lunch and, you know, get their badges and mingle.
That's awesome. We're so excited because, like I said, this is the first thing that we're ever going to do where we're going somewhere. So, and for folks who don't know, it's an excellent thing. This is off season in the Hamptons because, you know, we've driven out there, folks, and when it's on season, it gets to one lane. For folks who are not familiar with Long Island and the Hamptons, it's like you're going, and all of a sudden it's one lane, and then you're just when I go out there to visit my parents, you know, we are going at like 5 a.m. because I am. But this is off season, so we don't have to worry about that, right? Like, it's going to be not an issue with, like, it's the summer in the Hamptons.
Much better.
Good.
It's much better, and that's good, and that's why we did it. You know, for our businesses, our bookstore, we work with Bookhampton, and they reported their sales were up 50% that weekend, and a lot of the stores were reporting a huge bump in sales because it's pretty dead, and it's pretty dead from like the day after Labor Day, which they call Tumbleweed Tuesday out in the Hamptons because everybody's gone. And it really is quiet until May. So, which I love. I used to, you know, I love it, have everybody gone, and, you know, you have the place back to yourselves. But people do want events. So this is why we created this.
Raul from Catch List says, if Jay and Shannon are going to have a booth, then I'm in. And Joe Jackalone is an extra plus. So yeah, folks, if you're local, come on down, say hi to us. We'd love to see you. I'm curious. I mean, this is in the Hamptons. What are the odds? Maybe Paul McCartney's going to come stop by, and any celeb? Did any celebs show up at last year? Any notable names?
They
Curious.
didn't show up last year. I do see Paul McCartney constantly in East Hampton, and John Bon Jovi, and Nathan Lane every day walking his dog. They're ubiquitous. I used to see Alec Baldwin anytime I went to Amagansett. So we'll try and harness some of them, but they are usually walking around, and so we'll try. Would be good if they popped on by.
My dad likes to say he lives nowhere by where they're living, but whenever there's a story about a celebrity in the Hamptons, oh, that's my neighbor. I'm like, Dad, it's not your neighbor, but he's always that's he's like, oh, my neighbor Diddy was out. I saw him in the papers. I'm like, Dad, it's not your neighbor. But sorry, go ahead, babe. I'm sure you have another question.
No, I forgot what I was going to say because I started thinking about Diddy showing up, or
let me
maybe
ask
Adam Sandler, or. But
let me ask Carrie, what's your favorite part of the festival?
I didn't get to I think I didn't get to partake in absolutely everything because I was kind of running around. So I would like to do the Forensic World this year. The panels were really great. I am a huge Michael Connelly fan. I've read every single book he's ever written, so I loved that. And I got to introduce him and Anthony Horowitz, whose books I've also read. And that was like, as I said, when I was doing it, it was like when someone says, if you could have anyone come to dinner at your house, who would it be? It was like them, and there they were. So that was exciting. And of course, Joe's panel was great. And another great panel was, I don't know if you remember, it was around 2001. So it was around 9/11. So it sort of got a little, not as much attention it might have gotten. But there was a man named Ted Amon who worked at KKR. He was very wealthy, and he was murdered in East Hampton. And his house was in a luxury street. And it ultimately ended up being that it was his wife with her new boyfriend, who was I think the plumber, the electrician, and they did it. And so Janet Albertson, who was the DA, came and walked us through that case and did a talk about that. And it was so fascinating because it just shows you there's so many things you think you know everything about a case. And then you hear someone talking about it who's an expert, and you're like, I did not know any part of this case. So that was a great panel. She really did a great job.
That's awesome.
That's one of the things I also, I personally, coming from true crime, people always say, why are you so interested in this? And I think because growing up, I actually did have a lot of brushes with crime. So I grew up in New York City. So did Louise. We went to the same school. She's younger though. But like we lived right around the corner. Our school is right around the corner from Robert Chambers' house. He was the preppy murderer, and he went to my church, and I used to see him all the time. And then my upstairs neighbor used to go jogging every morning with O.J. Simpson. And so he was always at the building. And so, and then I went to boarding school, and I had a friend, and he said, I said, where were you for the weekend? He said his sister had been murdered in her dorm room. So I keep having all these little brushes with murder. So it seems very much, it's not as, unfortunately, not as like distant to me. I mean, obviously not that I was close to any of them, but it's just been sort of this woven into my life. So that's where, I started to get really interested in true crime and I think that's why when we were at CrimeCon, which was 80% women attending, I think, you want to feel like, justice, you want justice and how can you help when you're, in the periphery of this?
Go ahead, babe. Did you remember your question?
Yeah, but Carrie sort of already answered it, I think, because I was going to ask you both who your favorite writer is in the genre, if you have a favorite writer.
Louise, you have one?
I would probably say Agatha Christie. I love the old school kind of stories. I used to watch Murder, She Wrote and Poirot with my mom all the time. So that's kind of where I go to for the original, true crime kind of fiction woven in stories. I love that.
I love Agatha too. Last year I did a year of Agatha Christie for my 50th birthday. So I went on the Nile in the actual boat that she'd had her honeymoon on. And then I went on the Orient Express with my husband. Wow. So I was trying to relive her like a pilgrimage to Agatha.
Wow.
But, Louise and I just read this book, Barbara Butcher, who I mentioned earlier, who's coming. And I listened to it on Audible and she read it. And it is one of the best books I've ever read in my life. It's so moving and emotional. She was the medical examiner in New York, and she's honest. It's also a story about like addiction and triumph, and it's really a love letter to New York City when she's seen the worst of the city. She went to places you never want to go, and I'm really excited for her to come because that book will stay with me for a really long time. If you haven't read it, I can't remember what it's called exactly. Louise, do you remember?
I can look it up for you. Let me look it up.
Yeah, Barbara Butcher. But I recommend it. And it's a great book to listen to on Audible because she reads it, and
What the Dead
she,
Know?
yeah, yeah. Really, I recommend that book, and I'm excited for her to come.
She actually was on Cheryl Mack McCollum's podcast, Zone 7. So make sure you guys check that out. We love Mac. And she actually, it's funny, because we have an interview series, and she said you should have Barbara on. So, like, that's awesome that she's going to be there. So, I mean, just the amount of people you have there, that's exciting, folks. So, again, it's $55, Hamptons Whodunit's on the website. That's where you get the tickets, right? You book the tickets on the website?
Yeah, on Eventbrite.
Okay. Yeah. And do they sell out? How in advance should folks?
So right now the weekend passes and the day passes are on sale for all the panels. We haven't yet put on the cocktail parties, and we're planning some special night events. There's going to be on the Friday night a trivia with authors and with, open to the public, and we're going to have a few other things like that. And those have not got on yet. Those sell out so quickly, and the Forensic World thing sold out so quickly, and especially opening night at Maidstone Club, because it's not a place that is easy for people to get into to just go see. So I mean, we could have sold that 10 times over that. So that goes quickly. So check back for those. Will go on probably in a couple months. But the panels, those tickets are on, and hopefully we have enough, and we'll add in more. If there's a great response, we will, we have locations so we can maybe have two at the same time, although some people don't like that. But sometimes people are into true crime and some are into fiction. So we want something for everybody.
Is there a mailing list, or just kind of email list, or just keep monitoring the website, basically?
There is a mailing list. If you go to info@hamptonswhodunit.org, I think you can sign up on the website, and we do some mailings to announce things.
Okay, awesome, perfect. Let me see if I can find that. Babe, did you have anything while I try to find that?
Yeah, while you try to find that, I was going to say, so you've mentioned that some of the local businesses that you are, including in the weekend. So the bookstore, and obviously the club and places that you're eating. What other types of businesses are you able to, sort of promote through it? I love how you're just really pulling in the whole community.
Well, yes. So our restaurants are going to be doing, some of them will offer some prefix and some Hamptons Whodunit discounts. And we'll also be going on, putting on our website soon, some hotels that are offering discounts. And, some have advertised in our program, and that's sort of the extent of it. But we were excited because there were some authors that came from London and last year, and they were walking around the town, and believe it or not, there's some stores in East Hampton that they don't have in London. I mean, I feel like now East Hampton has everything that everybody has, but so they were excited to do their shopping there. And also, we're going to have this year, all the historic buildings will be open for tours. Home Sweet Home, which is a museum, and some of our Windmill Museum, the Gardner House Museum, so people can really go and see this quaint. It's a beautiful village, and it's it's a perfect backdrop for this. When we had the graveyard tours, it was very misty and magical, and so it's really showed off our village. It was great. So hopefully it will have the same weather.
It really is so beautiful, guys. Like, really, really. I was just checking the website. So it's just on the main page. You just go to the bottom on hamptonswhodunit.org. You put in your name, first name, last name, and email, and submit. So that's how you can get on the mailing list, folks, if you want to get on the mailing list. But yeah, me and Shannon are so excited to be there. I mean, this sounds amazing. Is there anything we didn't go over that you want to go over, talk about to the folks that they should be aware of, that maybe they're not of, that we didn't mention?
Louise, can you think of anything?
Yeah, I was going to say one thing about the town that I think is going to be great for people visiting is that it's all walkable and everything is all in proximity to each other. So you don't need a lot of transportation. You're not going to need a car driving, and then you're not going to have to worry about parking as much. I think because of the size of the village and the fact that everything is so close together, it's just a great place to come when you're from out of town and you don't necessarily know how to get somewhere, and you can just walk through town and pretty much hit all the stores and the restaurants and everything. So I think that's going to be kind of special for our festival, just in terms of the location and the size of the town.
Awesome.
Absolutely, because then you can go to the cocktail hour and you don't have to worry that you drove there. You can just walk back to your hotel.
Yeah, that's true.
I think any questions, folks, in the chat? If any questions, did you see any, babe? While we've been,
I didn't think so. Is there anything that you think we should know? I'm thinking like more comfortable shoes than I was first thinking. I'm thinking now the shoes need to be more comfortable, but still like nice looking, but some amount of comfort. But what other tips can you give us?
Maybe an umbrella or raincoat, because I did do the graveyard tour last year, and just as it started around 5 o'clock, as Carrie said, it got very misty and rainy, which completely added to the effect of it. But you never know. Weather in New York is April's can be absolutely beautiful. Like one of our days was phenomenal, and another one was a little colder and wet. So just I think weather-wise to prepare.
Prepared weather-wise. That's a great tip.
all right, go ahead, Carrie. You say something?
No, I was going to say, and maybe, East Hampton, if people haven't been there, it's such a rich history, and it is great to see it when it's not crowded with a ton of people. So, it has more windmills than any other village in the U.S. It has all the American Impressionist painters painted, Child Haslam, Thomas Moran, they all painted in East Hampton, and then Jackson Pollock. We have so much history. It's attracted so many people because of the light, because of, the beaches and the farmland and the fields and the woods. There's everything there. So it's a really nice excursion. And just in general, if people are coming out, and you can drive to Montauk and the Lighthouse and Camp Hero, which was the, originally Stranger Things was called Montauk because it was set there. So there's a lot to look at, and explore. So, and it's a very nice time to be able to do that. And also because the hedges are thin, the leaves are all gone. So you can really drive by all the estates and look in that are normally you can't see because of all the big privet hedges. So it's a nice like sneak peek behind the curtain.
By the way, folks, I'm just sharing now. Carrie has Twitter. It's Carrie Doyle K. So follow her there. Show her the love. Louise, do you have a Twitter or X?
I don't actually. I'm only on Instagram. But I did just get on LinkedIn to be able to connect to more people in this field, because I'm finding that this job is equally as interesting as mine. So I really want to get more into it. So I do have LinkedIn and Instagram, but that's it.
And also Hamptons Whodunit is on everything, folks. So it's on Twitter. It's Hamptons Whodunit, just without the it. And it's Hamptons Whodunit on Instagram, right? The handle.
Yeah.
And Facebook too. Pretty much everywhere, folks. Just look up Hamptons Whodunit, and you'll be able to find them on Facebook, Instagram. We're going to be promoting it, folks. So show them the love, the J-Bo Nation love. Retweet. Let folks know. And we're going to be there, folks. So if you want to meet us, I mean, and Joe Jackalone, we all love Joe too. And you saw all the guests we have. It's going to be an awesome time. So I guess any final thoughts, babe?
No, I was just going to say that we're going to continue to talk about this and bring this up and promote it. And we will be letting you all know when they are announcing their true crime guests, who all is coming, and what types of panels they are announcing. And we'll make sure to announce them as well, so that you'll be in the know.
Thank you. That's really great.
Yeah, of course. We want to promote it as much as we can. So I guess any final thoughts, guys? Anything else you want to say about the festival or anything?
I would say, even if you don't think you're interested in crime, there's going to be something for you that you'll find fascinating. And it's educational, it's stealth educational, because you're going to be absorbing information that you didn't realize was educational. And, there's a reason why true crime is so popular and why mysteries are so popular. It's you're using your mind, it's an interactive experience. You're not just reading it and not, you have to, it's like puzzles. So that's why it's a lot of fun. And this is a really good opportunity to meet all these great writers and experts. And also we'd like to hear from you. If you want, you can always email us. And, if you have ideas or anything like that, our emails are on the website, some are going up on the website shortly if they're not up there yet, or you can do it to info. So if you have any thoughts, we'd love to hear from you.
Louise, any final
Yeah,
thoughts?
I was going to say, I actually found this in starting to go to these festivals is how many people are interested in the same things that I'm interested in and get excited about this, which is really neat because I think that it's really kind of a genre that's popped up that so many people are interested in. If you look at all the television shows and things like that, really. And all the podcasts. Everybody that I work with is always telling me to go listen to this podcast, and they've solved this crime, and it's just a whole new world that's opened up, and I love that there are so many people interested in it, the same way that I am, and the same way that Carrie is too. So I think that's the fun part.
Oh, that's awesome! And what I've been doing with our new guests that have come on is welcoming them to J-Bo Nation. So what J-Bo Nation is? Did you guys? I don't know if you guys were familiar with the Murdaugh case, the Alex Murdaugh. Oh, so you're familiar. All right. So that's kind of how I got popular on Twitter. Before I even had a YouTube, I was live tweeting the case. And what we learned for us New Yorkers who didn't know this, in South Carolina at least, friends are like Bo. Like, hey, instead of like saying, hey, bro, what's up? They say, Bo. Hey, Bo, how you doing, Bo? So like that's a friend. So my channel is Jay, and with Bo and Nation. So J-Bo Nation. We are some of the kindest people in the world, and now they're going to have your guys back. They're going to promote the festival, so we're welcoming you to J-Bo Nation. We thank you so much for coming on and having us at the festival. We're so excited for it. Like Shannon said, we're going to keep telling you guys when it's happening, give you all the updates. And yeah, I think that's it. So thanks so much, everybody. Have a good night, and we will keep you updated on all the things going on. And again, Hamptons Whodunit.org. Make it a bookmark, save it, sign up for the email list because, like Carrie said, stuff sells out quick, folks. If you're gonna go, make sure you sign up for that. So, I think that's it. Good night, everybody.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you so much.
Great chatting with you.
Great chatting with you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, J-Bo Nation. Please give all of yourselves an ovation. No, it won't be real long until next time. Oh, J-Bo Nation, there's no place we'd rather be. J-Bo Nation is the place to be. J-Bo Nation is the place to be. J-Bo Nation is the place to be. J-Bo Nation is the place to